Alright guys, we are continuing on. We are up to number 12 in the rankings, and I have here the Imperial Guard. And kind of going back to my last video with the orcs just a bit, the only reason that I have, and you could probably argue orcs are better than Guard, just because they have a newer codex, but Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum if you want to be really accurate. The reason I have these two, or I have Guard ahead of Orcs, is Guard kind of have a little bit more to offer than Orcs do, in my opinion. You get the ability to make blobs, but the fact that the Guard can actually issue orders, such as first rank fire, second rank fire, which is a huge deal if you're a Guard player. You can do basically troop blob or armor blob. That's a big deal. You have probably one of the best heavy tanks in 40k, minus Land Raiders, anything that's got AB-14. Monoliths. But I mean, we'll break it down here bit by bit. You've got options with troops. You can do individual troop companies. You could do a troop platoon. You could do vets. That can open up some options. You have different weapon varieties. Grenade launchers, while I have yet to test with them, actually show quite a bit of effectiveness from what I've heard, what I've read, what I've seen. The company command can really give out some options. If you look at fast attack, you've got a couple of walkers with the sentinels that they aren't the world's greatest, but for what you can get, what you can do with them, they're not bad options. Then we get to the vehicles. You've got the Chimera for your troop transport, which is very fascinating, very unique. Just because, like the Space Marine Rhino, you can shoot two weapons out of it. You've got ports on the Chimera, so you can shoot the main turret weapon on top of 6, 8, 10 troops out of the Chimera. I might be wrong on that. I would have to look that up. I'll probably make some correction videos later on down the line. But you've got some options there with your troop transports. At least the one. You have a couple of really good artillery pieces in the, I think it's the Wyvern, which I think that one, it's 4 shots with shred. That's a huge deal. Especially if you are trying to take down blobs of units. But you've also got the Basilisk, which can deal out some pretty decent damage. You've got the Hellhound. Very good anti-infantry tank, being that it's a flame tank. You've got the Hydra, which gives you some very good anti-air. Probably not as good in comparison to, like, the Space Marine, Hunter Stalker, or even various add-ons you can give to Eldar, Tau, maybe even Tyranids. And Orcs. Though I don't think Orcs get anti-air. Or if it's some weird form. But then, the biggest thing that I like with Guard is your heavy support. Which you have the Leman Russ Battle Tank. And the big thing about the Leman Russ is, and these are all the upsides I'm talking about here. Leman Russ, you get the AV-13 in the front. You can change out the main battle cannon. You can change out the sponsions. And even though the tank can only move 6 inches, it acts like it's stationary. So not only can you shoot the main battle cannon at full ballistics, you also can shoot the sponsons at full ballistics. As well, you get a very good HQ option with Pask. You throw him in a Punisher, all of a sudden, your Punisher tank picks up rending? What? I've heard, I believe it's the Vanquisher that has the big plasma cannon. I've heard that if you put Pask in that, then do things get very interesting. Now, downsides. Just like Orcs, the Guards suck with ballistic skill, weapon skill. There is some things that you can do to modify it, but generally they suck. They have some good air support, but you have to play it just right. You can easily take it down. The big problem with the Leman Russes is with some variants, yes, you have Armor 13. It's either Armor 13 or Armor 14 in the front, but it's some variants, it's 12 on the side, 11 in the rear. Others, it's 12 on the side, 10 in the rear, which can pose problems if you try and move them up. A lot of them don't have, I think there are a few variants where the longest range is 24 inches. I think there's a couple that are a little longer than that. And then you only can move 6 inches with the Leman Russ. Now, don't get me wrong, 6 inches is better than nothing. But if you're trying to hunt down units that are, hit and run, it's not going to be great. You're really going to be struggling trying to use the Leman Russes to their advantage. Now, with the sponsons, you might get a little bit better, such as with the heavy bolters. Those are 36 inches. I think plasma cannons are 36 inches. But one of the other interesting things for Imperial Guard is your ability to conserve. I say conserve your heavy support slots, but conserve probably isn't the right word, because you can make squadrons. So you can make a squadron of 3 Leman Russes. You can even make a Leman Russ an HQ. Make that HQ Pask. Yeehaw. So you could literally, if you wanted to, make or field 9 Leman Russes on the table, because you've got 3 in each slot. Now, the only downside, another downside for the Guard, is with your artillery pieces. Because in a 500-point game, you could probably get away with 1 Basilisk, 1 Wyvern. But it's when you get to 1,000 points, 1,500, 2,000 points, you really are going to need to have 2 or 3. Maybe 2 Wyvern, but you need at least 2, if not 3 Basilisks to really get a good effect. And especially if with that high point range, you're dealing with a lot of the big, beefy, in-your-face type unit, either in-your-face type units or units that can really cause a lot of devastation, that you wouldn't be able to knock those out first. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by Basilisk Fire at Basilisk Fire. Try and whittle them down. Either whittle them down or whittle down some wounds. And then try and get the final kill with either a Leman Russ, or just try and drown them in a volley of dice from your troops. Which is really which would be ideal. So what do you think, guards? Am I right? Am I wrong? Should they be lower? Should they be higher? I know some armies probably think that guards should be lower. Even though I have a working theory, even though the guard were really the last codex updated in 6th edition, they probably wrote it, though, in mind with 7th edition coming out. Because a lot of their rules, a lot of the few formations that they have are more or less based to take advantage of what we have now with 7th edition. And a lot of people have said that 7th edition is probably the best edition by far for 40k. Which is saying a lot, considering I've heard 5th edition and what I've read about 5th edition. 5th edition was a very good rule set. Now, the other thing, too, is, this is if the rumors are correct, because we're going to have a couple of codex updates potentially here in the next couple of months, as rumors are running around. Tyranids will be next month with Guard in February. Again, whether or not those rumors are correct, we don't know. But rumors were right about the Eldar, they were right about Space Marines, Dark Angels, they were right about Tau. Actually, I think they were a little later than what Tau actually did. I think Tau was originally rumored for this month, but yet they came out, I think, 2 weeks ago? So that's Guard in a nutshell. Why I think they are the 12th best army in 40k. So, Guard players, begin your rants, begin your comments, your discussions, your disagreements below. And I look forward, as we are just one army away from starting to find out who the top 10, in my opinion, are the best armies in 40k.